after the first of the year, Jan had been experiencing sinus issues. And as things went on, she continued to use a thing called a sinus buster type pressurized device that was designed to clear out your sinuses. And it appeared as though things were not getting better from that perspective. She started talking about having pressure in her head and headaches and all kinds of different issues, and also earaches and those kind of things. So as it got kind of worse and worse beginning of April, we talked about the idea of, should she go to the doctor? Should she go to the hospital? What would you like to do? Because she was still pretty much fairly, 100% coherent at that point, just suffering from headaches and various other things. So she said, let's go to our ear, nose, and throat specialist, which we did. And they diagnosed it as being an ear infection at the time. So around April 19th, we went in and they gave her antibiotics and said, you should be fine, go home, take a break, that kind of thing. But over the weekend, she really got tremendously worse. So we went back into the ear, nose, and throat specialist on a Tuesday, and her temperature had gone up to about 105 degrees. And she was suffering delusions at that point. And they said, well, it's got to be the fever is causing the delusions, and we have a scenario where the pressure on her eardrum and eustachian tube is what's causing the headaches, and we'll put tubes in her ears and everything should be fine. So that first night, her temperature stayed up. She quit breathing. She temperature plunged, and after the fever, it went down. Everything started shutting down around the brainstem. So she wasn't breathing. She wasn't able to keep her temperature controlled, and had pretty much no control over anything of her body at that point. They didn't think she was going to make it through the night. Well, eventually, after about a month in the ICU, we moved over to another hospital which specialized in removing trach tubes, which was her breathing tube. So we were there for about 3 weeks, and we accomplished that, and she was getting better. And we moved over to Sarasota Memorial's Rand Boulevard facility, which is their rehab facility, and again, she started getting a little better still. So at that point, one morning, we woke up and went in to see her, and I was getting her a glass of water, and she went to reach for it and missed it by about a mile, and she told me that she was blind and couldn't see anything. So we went back to the hospital, and the hospital determined that the bacterial meningitis, which she had originally, which that's what the diagnosis was, had taken about a couple of weeks to basically effectively cut off the blood supply to her optic nerve. So now she is blind, both eyes, and probably will be forever. So that was a major issue to deal with. And then the other thing, of course, that's been happening is that because of being on a catheter for the last 4.5 to 5 months, she's suffered numerous infections, which have knocked her down over and over and over again. We've run into a scenario where I've asked the medical profession each time, I need to know 3 things. What happened? What are we doing about it? And how do I keep it from happening again? And the answer in all of those cases has been, I don't know, we don't know, we can't tell you. And it's been incredibly frustrating. Right now, the medical profession seems to be doing a lot more head scratching on what the game plan should be than actually coming up with a plan. So that's one of the things that I would really love, is if there's anyone out there, who sees this information and has, whether it's a place or a person, that I could take her next or deal with next, so that we can really start working on getting her back to being the person she is. Whether it's a therapy, a person who may be knowledgeable in dealing with recovery from bacterial meningitis in the brain, or a place that's doing research, that kind of thing. I would love to hear from them. After this illness occurred, we found out that the school board did not include in her insurance policy, which was, according to all the teachers in the county that I've ever spoken with, they all believed that they had a golden policy that was just the greatest thing ever. We found out that there was no inpatient hospital care for rehabilitation. that it was if you were in the ICU, you were covered, or once you got out of the ICU, you went to a nursing home. So you went from the best coverage ever and the best rehabilitation ever to the bottom line, nothing in between, which is exactly what she needed. So when I spoke with the school board about that, they passed the buck to their insurance company, who said, we didn't choose the plan, the school board chose the plan. And again, in speaking with the school board, they were very empathetic, they were very sympathetic, and I never heard back from them. As an employee of the school board, my wife had always spoken very highly of the system and truly thought that, you know, the school system would have her back, you know, if something ever happened to her. Her principals and teachers have all been great from that standpoint, but the folks that actually make decisions, not so much. I'm in the process of right now kind of draining down our life savings to, you know, keep things moving forward from that perspective. And you know, it's one of those things where we'd always talked about the fact of how fortunate we were that, you know, we had a retirement, and you know, we had some money in the bank and that kind of thing, and how we really thought we had prepared well for the future. But when something like this happens, one of these unexpected, horrendous events occurs in your life, you just don't realize until it's too late that the medical system and, you know, the insurance system and basically the bureaucracy of government all the way around does not provide for the citizens of this country. And you're pretty much on your own. And so I'm doing everything I can. I mean, I'm basically pushing to move heaven and earth if I can to get her whatever she needs. She's the most important thing in my life. And I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get her the care she needs.